here with head track and field coach Michael Dunn. Coach, we'll just jump right into it. What are your goals for this season?
I think the biggest goal that we've got as a group this year is from Meet 1, which is this weekend at MSU Mankato, all the way to conference at the end of the season, whether that be individuals who are just an indoor, and that's up at Duluth this year, or if that's outdoor and that's over in Morris, if they're doing both indoor and outdoor, to see improvement, but also to have trained thoroughly and to a point where they're able to look back on the season and know, hey, I worked hard, whether it was in the weight room, on the track, in the pit, on the throwing ring. Like they're putting that effort in this year, and that's really what we want to get out of this group. Again, it's another young group, so we want to be able to see that effort from them this year, so we can just improve as a program.
Who are some of your top returners, and what do you look from them this season?
On our women's side, I think for indoor, Sarah Pressler definitely, is coming into indoor. I think pretty hungry for an individual championship in track and field, and there's a variety of mid-distance and distance events that we're going to be looking to get after, and I think ultimately we'll kind of see where the training is taking her, and we kind of have an idea of what we want to do, but I think we'll see kind of what presents itself as the season goes on. And then I think for the outdoor season, I think we're really looking at Marissa making some good strides this indoor season, and as we go into outdoor, really peaking. This is her last year and last opportunity at getting after this, and I think she knows what those conference environments and what those high octane environments feel like in track and field, and I think she'll be ready for that. On our guys' side, I know that Ryan McHugh has made a lot of strides through cross country this year. He's looked phenomenal in his training that we've had, the little training that we've had between cross country and now. But his effort is what every coach dreams for, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can accomplish, as a leader coming back too. And then Benjamin Twite has really put his best foot forward, dealing with a little bit of illness now, but rather have it now than in February. So we're getting that out of the way for him, and at the same time, I think he's in that situation with Sarah Pressler as well, where he's a little hungry for that, that conference championship opportunity, and to drop a banner as well. So, both of those, all four of those individuals are captains of ours, and I think we have expectations for those captains this year, and that's not necessarily the case every year, where we expect those individuals to do well. But and Keegan Rich obviously is probably the one coming back who's had the most success, in this program, and so when it comes down to him being pushed, we have a couple freshman jumpers that have come in, and will be pushing him significantly. So whether it's hurdling or jumping, he's going to have that push on the team this year, and we're really excited about that. I think he's very excited about that too.
Your underclassmen had a great cross-country season earlier this fall. How will you look for them to carry the momentum into the running side of the track?
I think they got to have a little bit of Thanksgiving off. You got to rest the legs at some point during an entire year. 365 days is not a short amount of time. So getting that week to spend time with family and rest up a little bit, recharge the batteries. It should be fun to kind of get after this MSU meet in that way. Again, they haven't been training for some of these shorter distances that long. So yes, they've been working hard, and that base is going to hold up as we get into January and February and March and everything. But I think those individuals who really pushed the program during cross country that have been pretty young. I mean, Sienna and Chloe, they're really excited about track and field. I mean, Sienna's bread and butter is mid-distance events. So when it comes down to what we can see her accomplish this year, as a freshman, I'm really intrigued about that. And Chloe's a workhorse. So when it comes down to those mid-distance events, and whether we kind of gear towards that mile indoor, or if we really want to continue to have kind of that pull and push from Sienna and Chloe in that 800, we'll kind of find that out as the season's going on.
You also have a number of other fall sport athletes and a few winter sport athletes in your program. How are you able to educate them what your program is all about in such a short amount of time?
We really just want to give everybody an opportunity to come in and understand, hey, you got to be able to compartmentalize and, separate your classroom from when you're coming in and training, or, your fall sport and those workouts and that training and that family. That's a huge part of those individuals to when they're coming into, a track and field team, because families are different, right? Families are different, so you want to be able to have, them understand, like, hey, it's maybe the crazy uncle family over here on this family, and it's the crazy grandpa, the crazy aunt family on this side. So there's definitely, those opportunities for the individuals, whether it's through team activities that we do, team building activities, or volunteer opportunities in the community and things. And I think that really gives these individuals that opportunity to really come close to one another. And it's phenomenal, these multi-sport athletes that take part in this, because I think what's great about it is you get to that college level, you want to be able to train year-round. And there's different parts of your sport that can really be honed in on. And I think track and field does a really good job of being able to do that. If we want to work on strength, there's strength events that we can get you after. If it's speed, it's the same thing. So I think we're definitely able to work on that stuff, and obviously endurance with run around on a soccer field forever. That happens too. So I think these individuals coming in from those fall sports or winter sports, they definitely understand, like, hey, this is an opportunity to become a better athlete, and then be able to, hey, let's show what I can do out there on track and field. So
you have a number of high-profile meets on your schedule. What do you want to accomplish at those?
I think being able to give these individual student athletes the experiences. Having coached at Gonzaga, I got to see, I was able to be blessed with seeing that Division I experience, and there's no reason why the Division III level can't have those experiences. So, our student athletes get an opportunity to have those Division I experiences here at a Division III school, and they qualify for those meets. Again, those are meets that you got to qualify for. Those high-end meets are you don't just get into. So when they're there, sometimes they're one of the only D3 kids that are there, or sometimes there's a handful of D3 kids there, and they're kind of representing that a little bit, and they're competing with individuals that they should be competing with at that meet, and so they belong at that meet. And giving those kids that opportunity is something that I think they can look back on and say, man, this is fun. College football's got the bowl games for Division I, right? That when they graduate, they look back and they're like, man, these are experiences. And so these are some little nuggets out there for track and field that, like, hey, these are experiences where you get to go compete against Division I, and that's not necessarily an opportunity that happens a lot in D3.
What other meets are you looking forward to on your schedule?
I think every year, we definitely enjoy the Carleton meet. It's in February. It's got we really like their track surface and everything. They do a great job of putting it on there, and I think at that point in the season we're starting to kind of gear towards conference, right? Conference at the end of February. We want to kind of know a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks out, where these kids are at. So that gives us an opportunity really there to kind of hone in on, okay, we've been working, for a couple months now. Let's kind of get out there and see and maybe show an event of what we can do. And so that's definitely one that we very much look forward to. I know this year one that the kids are really excited about is SDSU's on our schedule. So getting out to that meet should be a lot of fun. They have 300-meter track, and the only indoor 300-meter track I've been to is at the University of Washington. So I think it'll be a lot of fun for me to get to SDSU and be able to see that as well, that facility, and for these student athletes to go and compete on something that's going to be a lot faster track than a 200-meter track. The turns aren't as tight and all that, so it should be good for our running athletes for sure.
Then what have you seen so far from your team in practice?
I think the biggest thing about practice that I've seen is the closeness and tightness of the group. They'll show up and they're working hard at doing things the right way, whether it's going through warm-ups the right way, whether it's looking out for each other, taking responsibility for not just themselves but the guy next to them and the girl next to them. They've done a phenomenal job of understanding that, hey, everybody on this team plays a role, right? I mean, that's the beauty of having a small program like we do is that everybody understands, like, hey, I mean, you're pulling the cart just as much as the person next to you, so your efforts today mean just as much as that person. You're not going to get lost on this team, kind of a thing. So that's something that's very, I think, exciting to see so far, and definitely something that we want to be able to build off to. And we got some great, upperclassmen leadership, some great, kids who are sophomores, juniors leadership, and then obviously some freshmen that have come in and already proven, like, hey, I want to be able to help out as much as I can, and they've wanted to step into those leadership roles. So, it's nice when you see the individuals who aren't the captains, where there's those expectations to step up, that there's a lot of those student athletes that are stepping up as a group.
And with MSU this weekend, do you field everybody everywhere to see what event is best for each individual person, or how do you approach those entries?
So this weekend is really unique, especially with Christmas at Bethany, actually. So we ideally this weekend would kind of be more towards, like, hey, let's get a mark down to kind of see where we are in some different things. Unfortunately, a lot of those kids need to get out of there about halfway through, so we don't necessarily get to have everybody in everything we want to. We don't even have everybody competing this weekend. So, with all of that on there, this meet is an opportunity for these student athletes, especially the freshmen, to come in and get a mark before Christmas break. So when they're on Christmas break and they're doing workouts and things like that, they're like, okay, I've got something I'm gearing to do better than when we get back. Really, the first couple meets we do, so this and then the next, one or two that we do, are typically meant to be builders into the season. I know we got Washington on our schedule early in January, but that's a qualifier. So that's going to be one that, an individual that would qualify for that is going to be having a significantly good performance this weekend. So there's, we're looking at, a couple individuals who have that opportunity to qualify this weekend. And I think they're, definitely looking to, I think, try to get that mark to get to UW. And I think that'd be fantastic. But for the most part, regardless of getting to UW or not, like, this is a great opportunity for these student athletes just to go and get on a track. Even the cross-country athletes who may have been running, they haven't been running on a track for that long for training. And so just racing in that environment against some really good competition, obviously significant, D2 schools will be there. So, they're going out and they're just having the opportunity to compete. And I tell the team every time that we go to this meet is, it doesn't matter how you do today. What matters is the effort that you get and, the fact that you're getting an opportunity to put one under your belt before we really get rolling in January.